All right, good evening. Welcome to American Hammers TV, part of the American Hammers Network. I'm in lockdown here in suburban Boston, but these two guys with me, guys are serving our country. We have Selly in California, who is in the Air Force. We have Rob as our special guest tonight, also in California, in San Diego, who's in the Navy. So please show your thanks to these guys for their service and their continued dedication, especially at this really rough time as people like me sit around on their phones all day in suburban houses. These guys are getting work done, so we appreciate that immensely. Um, the West Ham Mega Store, whatever it's called now, the online store, has shut down. I don't know if everybody's noticed this. It's shut down until the plague is over, until it's safe for employees to go back to work and do what they do in the warehouse or whatever. However, keep in mind there's fantastic West Ham merchandise on AmericanHammers.net on our website, which, as far as I know, is still shipping. So I'm sure it comes from China. China seems to have reopened, so hopefully nobody coughs into the box. If you've ever seen that Simpsons episode,
Yes.
hopefully nobody coughs into the box on the way to shipping it out. But you can still find good stuff. You can find American Hammers TV stuff, our show logos. There's West Ham logos, so there's all kinds of stuff. There's a great shirt with a little West Ham guy. He's a Minecraft character, but he's like got a West Ham kit on. So probably get one of those for the boys eventually. So anyway, take a look at that. Tim has been soliciting on our Twitter page, our Twitter feed, people to send photos. If you're like a frontline healthcare worker, if you're a doctor, nurse, whatever, you work in that field. You're going out every day to help people during this crisis. Let us know. Send us a picture. We're going to salute you in one way or another. I'm not totally sure how yet because it wasn't my idea, but it's a good idea. So we'll let Tim get on that. And if you guys, while you're sitting around and have nothing else to do, if you want to be on the show, let us know. Just get to us through our website, through AmericanHammers.net, or come to our Twitter page, come to Facebook, come to Instagram. We're on everything you can name. We're on social media that I'm not even on. I've never even heard of. We have accounts on there. So if you want to find us and come on, find us, come on. And before we get started, one last thing. Tomorrow at 3:00 Eastern time. So that's 12 in California. That's noon in California. That's 8 p.m. in the UK. We're going to have Matt Jarvis on, former West Ham winger, who actually was one of my favorite players when he was at West Ham. I even have his shirt, so I'll have to find it and wear it tomorrow. Tim and I are going to talk to Matt Jarvis, and in the near future, we're also going to have, I don't know if I can announce them yet because I'm not sure if they've been confirmed or not. We're going to have two more former West Ham players on in the next couple of weeks, so keep an eye out for that. So we have a lot of good stuff coming to you. But tonight we want to talk to Rob and find out what his deal is, why he supports West Ham. When you hear him speak, you'll find out he's not English.
Yeah.
he's a Yank like us. So how'd you get into it, Rob? Why did you join to paraphrase an old Boston sports phrase, the Fellowship of the Miserable?
Well, see, misery loves company. So, I am a Mets fan, a Jets fan, so I'm used to disappointment.
God bless you. I'm a Mets fan too, believe it or not. Lifelong Mets fan. I'm not even from New York.
Success in the '80s, right? Just living off of that.
I was 12 last time they won the World Series, and I got to say it was awesome. But I was 12. So.
86, I believe.
86. Yep.
One.
Yeah, that was it. I was in sixth grade. Seventh grade. I was in seventh grade in Midlothian, Texas. Why a lifelong Mets fan? I don't know. Just was. But anyway, so I know where you're coming from with that kind of stuff.
So yeah, so I really got into West Ham. First introduced to by John, from Friday Night Lights. Good friend.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, okay. You know John then. Okay. Yeah.
So I've known him for about 17 years now.
Oh wow.
How do you know John?
Him and my brother were roommates in college. So he used to come over and hang out, and then that's how I got introduced. Like at first, didn't follow it. I was like, okay, cool. Well, so I was stationed in Japan on was it the USS Blue Ridge? It's one of the old ships out there, and they had a football club. And we go play other navies.
Or really?
Ships. Yeah. So they were searching for players, and I played a little bit when I was younger. I was a forward, and I was like, I'm gonna get into baseball because baseball is more like
Yeah.
a team sport. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more of an American thing, generally.
Yeah.
Especially in
speaking, yeah.
Japan. Baseball's huge in
Although
Japan.
it is huge. Oh, that's true. Yeah, it's massive. It's much bigger in Japan than football or soccer is. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
So I was I was scouted by the team. They knew I played when I was younger. So like, hey, you want to join the team? We need someone in the midfield with a lot of endurance. I was a marathon runner at the time, so I'm like,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
You
I'll go in
can
the
tell that.
midfield.
Yeah.
So I started playing, getting more into it. But I started watching Japanese football, and I'm like, man, I just want to understand what's going on, like the announcers and what they're saying. Like, yeah, I understand what's going on in the sport, but I was like, yeah, I just need to listen. And then I started getting into the Premier League, and I was like, oh yeah, West Ham. I know John was a big supporter. Let me check them out. And I have to say, this is about 07, 08 season, I believe.
Okay,
I think
yeah.
this was-
That was so that was the season after the Great Escape. So that was or yeah, that's right. That season. So that was not a bad season actually. That's a pretty decent season. If
Yeah, we were mid tier, say about 10th.
finished
I think
like
we
10th, I
finished.
think. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Alan Kirbishley's last season, maybe. Somebody's going to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's right.
And then shout out to Tim Tompkins.
You got to drink, Rob. Everybody,
Right.
if you mention Tompkins, you got to drink. That's how it works.
So one question I have for you real quick, Rob, especially being in the Navy and I'm not too sure with the workings of a cruise ship or anything, but especially being in California when the games would come on 4, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, are you able to catch a lot of them while you're home stationed?
So it depends. Like, luckily, if I get out of training a little early, I was able to go down to the pub and catch them. There's a few pubs out here that they'll play the Premier League, so I'll just find them. Like, okay, yeah, West Ham's on, going, because out at sea, like can't stream the
Yeah.
games.
Can imagine.
How do you follow it out at sea? I mean, is there any way do you even know what the scores are, the results, or anything? I mean, how much?
Yeah, so there is internet. It's not fast internet, but
Yeah.
like most of the times, I'd go onto the West Ham website and they have the BBC radio, so I could just listen to the games.
There you go. Yeah, a lot of people do that actually. Yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you can listen to them on the ship. You can listen to them that way then.
Yeah. Being across the world, I'd be like, yeah, man, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. The match is coming on. Like, I'd be in my office, like sitting on my computer, listening to it, screaming like usual.
Is there any like moment that you can remember listening to a game while you're out at sea or anything of that nature, like a big match that you kind of lost your mind to while 2, 3 in the morning or something like that?
There's a few, like nothing in particular. Like any goals against us, I'd be screaming and cursing, and then
So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
So my office was in the area with the officers' staterooms. So
Okay.
So being an enlisted guy, we have to pile 80 people into their room.
Now,
Where the officers.
Could you explain something to me that I've never understood about the military because I've never been a part of it. So what is the difference between what does enlisted mean as opposed to being an officer? What's the difference between those two things? I know that's not West Ham, but I'm just wondering.
Your
Yeah,
rank
well,
and
it's
your pay, mainly your
yeah.
paychecks.
Yeah, I get paid a lot less.
Is it based on like training you have, or I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, so most officers finish college. Where
Okay.
unless you can just come in right out with a high school education.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. So that was what my cousin would have done then, many years ago.
Yeah. So if you ever hear about like the academies, like the Air Force, you got the Annapolis one in West Point. That's pretty much your college, right? So you're getting your degree there. Once you graduate, you get your commission, and you'll be a second lieutenant. And you're pretty much right there. You go to your first duty station to start your job, whether pilot or whatever it may be. Obviously, there's a long list of jobs, but pretty much out the gate, you're you're an officer out of that. But then you also have people who go to ROTC throughout college, and they can
Oh,
do an
okay.
officers program that way.
Yeah, yeah.
And
We
then
have
you
a
can.
friend. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. You're good. I would say you can come in enlisted, and then after, I think there's like a deadline you have to meet because there's a lot of requirements. You can test into going into an officer's course and do that, and you can come out as a prior enlisted officer as well.
Oh, that's interesting. So, yeah, we have a friend whose son is doing ROTC at RPI, Rensselaer in New York. So and he's doing Navy ROTC, as a matter of fact, Rob. He's going to be like, maybe you'll meet him soon.
Yeah, might be my boss one day.
Yeah, it's a
He's
small
good, dude.
world.
He's good. We've known them for a long time now, and I just always think of him as, a kid, but he's probably a sophomore, junior in college, something like that now. So he's going to get ready to do his service after that. So okay, that's good to know. I never knew that stuff. And now you're also whenever we're able to do this sort of thing again, you're moving, right? You said you're currently living. Well, tell us where you're living first of all.
Okay, so living in a hotel room right now in San Diego.
That's not bad. All right, already San Diego's pretty nice. Okay, but where do you live full time?
Hawaii. So from living in Hawaii, not bad.
Right.
But I'm sure Sacramento is also nice.
Yeah, Sacramento has some upside to it. It's not as being the state capital of California. You would think it would be bigger, and that there'd be more stuff here. But it's like you can easily drive through it and not realize that you're in it. To put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, you get on the 5 going south. Like if I was to go to San Jose or something, you drive right through downtown Sacramento like it's nothing. And sometimes you can go through Sacramento, not even going downtown. So yeah, I mean, it's not like you're Los Angeleses, your New York cities. It's not bad though. I mean, it's a nice little area to go and hang out, but it's nothing crazy. Denver's bigger, to say that.
Yeah, I haven't been to Sacramento. I have been to San Diego, and I really love it. Ken has a question. My buddy Ken up in New Hampshire. What is the? We might as well just ask this while we're here. What is the enlistment period these days, Rob?
So it depends. You can re-enlist in the Navy for normal first time would be 4 years. Was a normal one. I originally signed up for 6 because of the program I'm in.
Okay. So it's a good. And now you've been in it 15, so you're like career at this point. Okay, gotcha. And where are you guys? So whenever the moving truck is allowed to pull up, where are you guys going?
So yeah, heading over to Japan for another tour. I was over there for
nice.
8 years before. This will be 3 more years, maybe permanent. We'll see.
Did you ever meet up with the West Ham guys over there? There's a West Ham fan group in Japan. Did you ever meet them?
I just found out about them over there. Yeah, up above Tokyo. I saw. I did meet a few supporters over there. So
did you really?
I was at the UEFA Club Cup in 08.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think it was Manchester was playing. Man U.
Yeah. That seems like it. Yeah.
So I went in full
West Ham kit. I'm sure you're about to say.
Oh yeah.
you cut off
everything.
What was that? What was the reaction to that? I can't imagine anybody's gonna really mess with you all that much. But what was the reaction to that?
People talking shit, but then I was walking by, and then there's other West Ham supporters doing the same thing at the match. Almost got arrested that day.
Oh yeah, what happened?
So the other supporters, they got in a fight with some Man U fans, and then bolted.
As you do.
So the cops thought I was with them. I was with one of my.
So you were basically
no. It was
explaining to the Japanese.
It was a frame job.
Well, that's not. It's good you had a Japanese friend with you, I guess, right? To to get you out of trouble. I suppose.
Yeah.
But they crack heads in Japan. What are the cops like in Japan? Are they because it's a country where they know everything about you, right? I mean, there's not a lot of privacy. I don't think.
No. There's a bit of privacy. The cops are really down. They carry a 6-shooter, old revolver we have, but they also know they're forced to know 2 types of martial arts. and then they carry this big long stick, which I've had drawn back on me. I was like, oh, like
Have you really?
yeah.
Well, wait. When did that? Was that another West Ham story, or was that a different story altogether?
There's a couple stories like that, but I won't get into it too much. No, but so I lived there for
Go ahead.
yeah. So I lived there for 8 years, like, and I was playing constantly with the ship, traveling around. So we'd pull into ports, we'd play different navies. Like I played the Russians, I played South Koreans. Is it Australian? Yeah, kicked their ass.
Nice.
But
Sorry, Neil.
like that,
Sorry, Neil.
Indonesia, Malaysia, like Philippines. I played all over Southeast Asia.
And so, how'd you get in trouble with the cops then? With the guy with the baton drawn on you?
Oh yeah, no, I put my hands up, and my Japanese buddy stepped in and like started explaining in Japanese, like, no, he's been with me the whole time. Like, we just came out, and then the cop was like, okay.
Dang, that's great. That's wild.
Yeah. So how did you, when you played the football, when you played over there against the other navies? That's kind of cool that you did that. I didn't know that they did that. How'd you guys usually do? Was it like, in the rest of the world where you came up against like the Germans or the Italians and they were good at football, and you were better? Did it sort of mirror how the world plays, or was it? Were you guys better than the American men tend to be?
Yeah, we're people from all over the world. So there's from South America, a couple from Ghana.
Oh, great.
I was like one of 3 white guys on the team. Like,
even better. That's great. So you were pretty good then, huh? You must have been pretty good.
Yeah, no, I could keep up. Well, back in the day, I could.
And were you supporting West Ham when you were over in Japan? Was that part of the deal at the time, or how long has it been? I guess.
Yeah, that's when I first started getting into it. Like I said, 07, 08. And then I carried it on. I moved to Singapore after that. Was supporting them out there. My work driver, because in the community in Singapore, there's a shuttle to work. First, and we start fighting. Like they're like, okay, you just got to walk into work.
Wow, you cut out. Hang on, you cut out. I don't know if you could hear him. You cut out a little bit there. I didn't quite get it. What did he do?
So I couldn't fight a Spurs fan. I was having.
Okay.
Yeah, that whole part definitely cut out. That was funny. It was like you were getting dropped off to work and cut to you were getting into fights. It's like, oh, okay.
I was like, who is this guy? You seem like a pretty mild-mannered dude. Yeah, I could see that if he was. Well, he deserves it if he's Spurs. So, do you find? I'm curious when you're in Japan or Singapore. I mean, I'm thinking it's probably like here. There's a lot of sort of top 6 fans, Manchester United, Chelsea, etc. Have you found that, or do you find a pretty decent base of West Ham fans among the natives there?
Uh-oh.
Oh, he's frozen. Oh, Sally, he's frozen him. He's frozen in time.
At least doesn't have a silly look on his face.
Yeah, I think he's in a hotel and his Wi-Fi is probably not very good.
Yeah.
And he looks steeled for battle at the moment.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna you know what? Does it do any good to take him out and bring him back in? I wonder.
I'm not sure. Maybe. I mean, he might have to do it.
Don't take this personally. Well, Rob, if you can still hear me, I'm gonna take you out and then we'll see if we can bring. He still looks pretty frozen to me.
Yeah. No, that's funny. When it's funny that he was saying that too about playing different Navy soccer teams, because when I've been deployed a couple times, the camp I'd be in, if you would have would play like the host nations that we would have.
Yeah.
So my first deployment way back in 2013, where I was at, they would play the host country too. And it's funny that he was saying a lot of the players were South American, because most of the players on the team that we had, and I was not one of them. I just knew who they were. Most of them were Latin players, Central or Southern American players, but they would go and play them at least once a week. Normally on the weekends, I think on Sundays.
Yeah.
But yeah, they always had good stories. They would go play, and then they would go over to their officers club and just have fun, enjoy some food, and come back and kind of tell us stories about it. But it's a really interesting dynamic, being able to travel all the world, kind of for free. Granted, you have a job to do, but once you get to know the locals, especially if you're kind, like if you're not,
Right.
like, oh, I'm this big
If you're
bad
not
American here in your
obnoxious,
country. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get to learn a lot for sure. It's pretty interesting.
All right. No, it does sound cool. It does. I mean, all right. Well, we'll try to let him back in here. See if it'll work. Hey, you're back. You still look a little stoic at the moment.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, don't worry. Don't worry. I understand this hotel room
I'm
Wi-Fi is, not super reliable. I know how that goes. I don't know. What do we think?
There you go. Go.
You kind of see
I
you.
can see. Yeah, we can see you, and as long as we can hear you, I think that's the most important thing.
Did you switch it to your phone? Kind of looks like you went to
Yeah.
your phone. Yeah.
That's what it looks like. Yeah. This stuff happens. Well, I'll tell you what else. Oh, sorry. Go ahead if you can. All these people at home are basically like crashing the internet at this point. So, and also the the mobile networks and all that are suffering. You're almost there. You're close.
Yeah, it's like every 10 or so seconds you kind of jump from one place to the next.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in the chat room, they're just they're just like talking to each other. They're paying no attention to us. Keep trying.
At least on mobile now, I could grab a beer.
All right, there you go. I got the grabbing a beer part. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. I think that's generally. I think that's a very good idea. Well, I was going to ask. So, Rob, your West Ham timeline is a lot like mine. Actually, it's a pretty similar number of years that we've been watching the club.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, let's say 12 years, something like that. I mean, I maybe go back a little further than that, but not that much. If you can still hear me, do you have, favorite players other than sort of the obvious ones? Are there guys over the years you've liked more than others?
Oh,
well,
disconnected for good that time. That's funny.
That's a bummer. Well, you and I can keep talking. Yeah. So, let me ask you this, Sally, before we wait for Rob to come back. If he can come back, we'll see. Did you see that the Bundesliga is talking about playing in May?
Yeah, I saw that their players are all back in training this right now, which is pretty astounding because obviously the corona is going to affect different parts of the world. But yeah, that's pretty interesting to see that they're back in training. But the one thing though, they'll go back to playing, but it'll all be behind closed doors. So they'll still have competitions, but they're still won't allow fans there, which makes sense.
It makes sense. I know it does. I still hate that though. I almost think it's not worth.
Yeah,
worth
agree.
doing.
It's like what's the point? I understand you want to finish the season, and I saw something that FIFA or UEFA was saying something to the effect of if they're not able to finish the season, it could affect a lot of people's championship league spots. Which at that point is like, well, if you're not going to allow people to qualify for Champions League, just have one season where you just don't have it. It'll suck, sure, but I'm sure people understand.
Yeah. I think it's all about TV money, right? Because if it weren't for the huge TV contracts, I don't think any of this would matter.
Yeah,
you could have a season without it.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I heard something too. I was listening to the Men in Blazers podcast, and they were talking about how there's going to be almost $1 billion worth of TV money that they'd have to pay back at a certain date if they don't get the season played through, which is crazy to me. But everything's driven by money these days.
That's why they're so desperate to get it started again. I don't know how it's going to happen. But the Germans seem to have it under control. I don't know.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
But anyway, Rob, I'm glad you're back. So we were just talking about potentially starting the season again, but it's such an up in the air thing. I wanted to find out from you, just who some of your favorite West Ham players have been over the last 10 or 15 years.
It's good. But, season starting up, I heard indefinitely put it on hold. That's what I've been hearing.
It is indefinitely put on. I mean, in England, the Premier League is on hold indefinitely. But the Germans are talking about starting in like a month's time. They'd be playing behind closed doors, but their teams they're training again. They're all training again. So I don't know. I guess they've got it under control. I don't know. I don't know, what the situation is there. But they're talking about bringing it back and doing it obviously with no fans, but it's hard to imagine the Premier League coming back anytime soon. It really is. I mean, it just I think the situation in the UK is precarious at best, and again, we were talking too. I don't know how you feel about this, Rob. I mean, I understand it may be a necessity to finish the season, but what do you think about this business of playing with no fans? Is it even worth doing it?
See, I'm against it completely. I'm all about the supporters being there.
Yeah,
like
I am too.
I was lucky enough to be at Upton Park in, was it 08, I think?
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Nice.
It was a September game. I think Newcastle. Yeah, we won 3-1. It was awesome experience.
Brilliant.
Like everyone was just eating it up. The players are feeding off of it. That's the kind of energy that I like about West Ham. Is that the fans are true and loyal. Like,
yes.
And you can feel that energy there.
Were you able to have the whole match day experience? Like go out to the couple of eateries right outside, go to the Bowl-In beforehand, or were you kind of in a rush and just got there at kickoff?
Oh, so no, I was there for a little bit. I was outside in actually Greenwich. I was staying, so trying to find my way around. This was again. I had no Google Maps and stuff, so I'm trying to.
Oh yeah, I remember those days. Yeah, yeah. Were you on your own, or were you with friends, or what was your situation?
I was actually backpacking Europe at the time by myself, and I just was like, "Hey, I'm going to a match."
Nice.
That's awesome. Was that the only one you were able to go to, or have you been to any since?
No, it was the only one I was able to get out to.
But you went to the Bowl-In, the Bowl-In ground. I mean, the Upton Park, the stadium. So
yes,
that's cool.
And yeah, don't get me started about going to London Stadium.
Well, I mean, how do you feel about it? Because I'm like you. I got to go to the Bowl-In. Ken, who's on the chat with us today, he and I went to the Bowl-In 10 years ago. Saw a match. Saw us beat Birmingham 2-0. This was right after Golden Sullivan had taken over the club, actually, or maybe even right before. It was right around that transition period. It was an experience that I'll never forget, and I guess I'll never have again, because next time we go, it'll be to London Stadium. So, what's your feeling about the new stadium and how it's affecting the club and what everybody says about it?
Man, sold our souls to the devil. I called it right when it happened.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Now, see, that's interesting because a lot of people were for it. I mean, if you go back and you look at Knees Up Mother Brown, you look at some of the message boards and even things that were not sponsored by the club, everything sponsored by the club, all the survey said, yeah, move to the new stadium, because that's what the club wanted. But even some of the fan surveys, they were like, yeah, we should go. And then, it wasn't, and then it didn't turn out to be what the Gold Sullivan and Brady promised, which has been a theme throughout the years. But you were against it from the very beginning then.
Oh, yes. Right away, I was like, all the history that we had at the Bowl-In, like, I was like, no, I want to stay right where we are. That's where the, main supporters are. Like, this is our thing. And then they promise, we'll have more people coming in because of the tube system and blah, blah, blah. Nope.
That's funny. I mean, did you? So you saw through the line about this is going to take us to the mythical next level.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, tell me, what do you think about him? What do you think about all the Daves and Karen these days?
Well, was it your show last week? We had the dildos out scarf. Yeah, I just ordered one of those.
Oh, you got a Dildo Brothers scarf. That's fantastic. Yeah, that was Zach. Of course, it was Zach. It would have to be Zach, right? That was Zach had one of those. Yeah, that's brilliant. No, I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously they've,
Link.
Go ahead. Sorry. I might be flaking out again a little bit here.
I think he was saying something, but we just couldn't hear it. There we go.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
No. What were you saying?
Yeah, sorry. Trying to catch the.
No worries.
Understood. So what's your so give us a rant on the owners if you have one. This rendered him speechless, Sully.
As it would do anyone. So, Rob, what are your thoughts on the current GSB on the board?
GSB out.
Yeah.
Love the protest.
Yeah. I've been wondering, and I'm just curious to see what you think about this. Kind of ask everybody this. I mean, the whole stoppage of the season, we don't know what's going to happen, obviously, with restarting it, not restarting it. But it also stopped the protests for obvious reasons. I mean, do you think that's, from your just observation of the way they've behaved, the way they are, do you think it's kind of got them off the hook a little bit? The fact that the protests have had to stop?
A little bit. They are still paying their, the club's still paying for all the salaries of the non-players, which is, and
that's true. Yeah, that's a gesture that I found interesting because, Liverpool originally asked for government money to pay employees.
Yeah, the furlough.
And then, right, the furlough scheme, exactly. Liverpool owned by the Red Sox owners, billionaires. And then went back and said, no, we're going to do that after all, because there was so much backlash, sort of public backlash, that they went back and said, we're not going to do it after all. Spurs just went straight to we're taking government's money, we're laying people off, just, And I have to say that our owners, I mean, I don't like them for a large number of reasons, but they've done the right thing. So as far as I can tell, unless I've missed something, they've done the right thing so far.
I know. I just read an article that Brady was talking about donating 30%. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but
no, she took.
I did see an article on that.
She took the 30% pay cut. I wish she'd take 100% pay cut, but that's different. Different story altogether.
Oh,
she took,
the comments were ruthless too. Like, hey, part-timer, calling her part-timer, you still getting paid?
Yeah, I mean, her salary is now in the £800,000 range, I believe, even after the pay cut. So what she does to earn that, I have no idea. I don't think I want to know.
Right.
But you know what I mean? I don't think I want to know. But yeah, I don't know if the players have. Do you guys know? Have they made this decision or not? Have they given up 30% for the?
I've heard that as a rumor, but I didn't know if there was anything concrete.
I know they were talking about it, and Nobes was taking it to the rest of the team, but I'm not sure if anything panned out from that.
That's all I heard about too. Was that Nobes had gone to the rest of the team and said this is something we should do, which doesn't surprise me at all because he's a stand-up guy, as we all know. But yeah, as far as did they take the cut? Will they get it back later? I have no idea. But I will admit, at the moment it looks as though Brady and Sullivan and Gold have done the right thing, which can only mean that they're doing something behind the scenes that's,
fuck us later.
Shifty, right? Exactly. It's shifty and crooked. You know what I mean? It's not. It cannot be this positive. There's no way they're doing something that's actually, actually good. So yeah, I don't I don't know what's going on there. We'll find out eventually. Somebody will out them eventually for whatever it is they're doing. Foshi says it's not confirmed yet. Okay, that's good to know. I wasn't sure. I have spent probably too much time on Twitter lately looking at this stuff. So I figured if I hadn't read it, it must not have happened yet. And of course, if you read it in the British press, then it will not happen or did not happen. I think we all know that for sure. Well, while we're here, let's talk about some of the guys we are thinking about keeping or selling, if and when we have a transfer window, however that's going to work. So there's a lot of talk about Felipe Anderson maybe being on his way. There's been talk for a while about Lanzini. I've seen some talk about Snodgrass. I don't know. Either one of you guys. I mean, they're the obvious guys like Carlos Sanchez and Roberto who's still on our books, but of the guys who don't, completely suck, which one do you think you'd put on the block first?
Oh man. Well, if you're trying to get a big return, I think maybe Felipe Anderson, as much as I don't want to see him leave because I still think that he has a lot of talent. Lanzini, he can go. Bowen pretty much took his spot, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he
Snodgrass.
Can go.
Yeah, Snodgrass can go. I mean, obviously everybody's going to say, he's a huge player, high work rate, and that's great. But, just like Zabaleta, the league has surpassed him. I mean, he's good for a couple moments.
He has scored like 5 goals for us this season.
No, he has. Guaranteed he has. But it's just one of those things where, you don't want to – I don't know how to say it, but, at a certain point, like he's not going to be your – starting 11 player every week, and even some of the smaller clubs. Yeah, even some of the smaller clubs, he can only do, maybe 60 minutes or something. But I think one of the big questions is, because I know we've had conversations about the academy, who from the academy comes up and performs well enough to force somebody out. I think that'll be a big question too, because I think Fornals is staying. It's too bad that the season was over because he was just, getting hot. Bowen obviously isn't going anywhere. Those two seem to be a great pairing. I still think you need a good strike partner for Allaire. If that means Antonio's out, I don't think so, because Antonio, crazy as it seems, as frustrating a player as he is, seems like he's been around the team forever.
He has.
Especially that last season at the Bolin, that dude was insane.
I wouldn't get rid of Antonio. A lot of people would. He's injury prone.
Yeah.
He's getting older. But I'll tell you, when he's on the pitch for us, we're a different team.
Yeah. I agree 100%. And I wouldn't get rid of him either. But I think at this point in his career, he's probably better as a super sub, just because,
That's true.
he has the injury record he has, having him play 90-minute games for a whole season. Just not going to cut it, because he's going to get hurt because he runs too fast, always pulling up his hamstring. So giving him like 30-40 minutes a game would be perfect, especially with his pace and his bruising ability. But I still think we need a proper striker next to Haller, whether that be somebody in the academy, somebody else. That's for the board to decide, and the coaching staff. But yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting though.
What do you think, Rob? What's your take on some of these guys like Anderson or Lanzini or Antonio?
Oh, definitely Lanzini out. No.
Yeah. I think he's lost it. I do.
It's that knee injury, coming back from an injury like that, like he doesn't have the heart anymore. Like, might as well just walk on the field back and like he's lost at this point.
That's kind of what he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
He plays scared. You can tell he's playing scared.
Mm-hmm. I know. Same thing happened to me.
Did it really?
Oh yeah, not the knee. I took it in the ankle, broke my ankle, snapped the ligaments. Like, never returned back to the pitch.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. We've all played sports at some level. I played a little rugby when I was in Europe, and not at a high level at all. But when you do take a knock, when you do get injured, I had an ankle injury playing American football years ago, and it took a while for it to heal. And I never played football again after that, because it kind of freaked me out a little bit. And a professional athlete should be able to get over that, you would think, but I don't know. They have the same, they have the same fears that we do. They have the same physical reactions that we do. When I watch Lanzini, I just don't see him putting out the effort that he used to put out. And I also don't see him with the skills that he used to have.
Yeah, I think he's got that fear. It's getting to him. But yeah, we got Tumble Dryer. What he's done for us, he should be out too. You see that new video that he just put out?
Oh yes. Oh,
I'm like,
where he hacked down his misses.
Yeah.
Where Wilshire's out there. Wilshire's out there with like the guy hasn't played for us, and he's played like 5 matches for us the whole time he's been here, and he's out there slide tackling his lady.
I was like, man, this guy's gonna do.
Dude climbs into a dryer to scare Declan Rice, which apparently anybody can scare Declan Rice. I mean,
yeah, doesn't seem to be that difficult.
He's such a goofball. I mean, I love Declan Rice, but he is a goofball, and he seems very easy to rattle off the pitch anyway. And so Wilshire folds himself into a dryer to do that. Then he goes out and films himself slide tackling his lady. I'm like, dude, why don't you like rehab or something?
Well, right. For another 8 months after that.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say, that's probably 8 months out. When he slide tackled his woman, I was like, well, that's the last we'll ever see of him.
And I'm telling you, he's got the best job. 100,000 pounds a week to do nothing. I want that job too.
Well, Andy Carroll, he's in the old Andy Carroll job now. He's got Andy Carroll's old job basically, which is like he collect a paycheck from West Ham and not do anything. I think obviously we got to get rid of Wilshere. We got to get rid of Lanzini. Anderson is a tough one for me, only because I know how good he can be, and he has no excuse for not being that good. I don't think I don't see the injury issues with him. I what I see with him is a lack of consistency. But man, when he's on, he's really on.
When he's on, he's a Brazilian international, which as we all know, that is a tough team to get on. Because of Brazil is the face of international football for the most part.
Right.
They used to be. But
it's still an elite nation. We all know that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But no, I saw one comment in the chat from Charlie Walsh not too long ago. It said, "My concern with the academy is finding the senior game time," and I agree with that 100%. But I guess when I say the academy, I'm not expecting like 5 or 6 players to come up and crack the starting 11. I think Ngaki, I think he's earned his spot. Ben Johnson might be a solid replacement who I think can grow into being a starting left back depending on if we bring anybody up.
Yep, I agree.
Diangana, I think he's worked his way up to positive or to good sub time minutes.
I'm sorry.
He can't start.
Go ahead, Sully. I'm screwing up on the chat room here.
No, you're good. It was funny. I saw Charlie's.
That's what I was trying to get. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Anyway. Go ahead.
But no, like I said, it'll just be interesting because past times that we've talked, I think this is the first time in a while where our academy has been as strong as it is, to where I think you have people who can push for maybe not starting 11 time, but at least on the team sheet time. Which I think is a good problem to have. And the thing that's going to be really interesting is this transfer window, because how much money are people going to have? Are people going to be more sellers than buyers because of everything going on?
I think it's going to be crazy. Listen, I don't know. I guess if you own Man City, if you're Roman Abramovich and you own Chelsea and you're an oil baron, I guess you have enough money as it is. But I mean, the oil market is way down right now.
Oh yeah,
the price of oil is way down. Does that affect them? I have no idea. Maybe they just laugh it off. But
I don't know about you, Rob, but I've been to California for about just over 4 years. And the other day, gas was $2.65 a gallon, and it has not been that low since I got here, and that's crazy.
I think in El Cajon, it just dropped under $2.
Yeah,
that's insane. Yeah,
I've seen it under 2. I've seen it under 2 here in the Boston area, which is our gas is cheaper than yours, but it's I haven't seen it under 2 in years and years. First time I got, maybe the whole time I've lived here. I've lived here 20 something years that I've seen it
yeah,
that low, you know.
yeah.
So I
It's
don't know.
pretty
Does that
crazy.
affect them? I have no idea. I
Yeah.
think it's good. I think the next transfer window is going to be completely insane.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
especially if people start playing from May into June, because that's right when the transfer window opens up. So you're going to have transfers at the end of people's seasons. You know, I guess that'll play a lot of it too. But I don't
So
know. Thankfully, I don't
I
have
was
to make
also
that
hearing,
decision.
yeah, I was also hearing that they're going to push the transfer windows and extend the contracts. I forgot where I was
Yeah,
reading.
I saw the contracts part. Yeah, that makes
I've
sense.
heard that too, and I know we need to get Suchek signed permanently or to a new deal. I can't remember what the situation is with him. I'm sorry. My mind is going to mush in this lockdown.
Yeah,
but I know we have a
he's out.
contract situation with him. We need to get him re-upped. You know, so I think the
Yeah, he's
timing
out
of
on
that
loan.
is do up.
Yeah, he was out on loan right for the year, and then it's supposed to end in June or something like that.
He is right. I think we have him on loan. Do we not? I think we do. So the idea is that we need to sign him to a contract. So there's a couple of guys like that who are going to be floating around for us, but I think it's going to be bonkers this transfer window. And plus, you're going to get guys like they're going to be healthy again when they were injured. So does that raise their value? Do you trust that they're going to stay healthy? I have no idea, but I think it's going to be like nothing we've ever seen. And I don't know. Listen, I mean, hopefully the global economy recovers, right? I mean, hopefully. But who knows what's going to happen? Everything's up in the air. So, I mean, maybe these guys in Abu Dhabi or wherever they are, these Man City guys, maybe they have to dump some players.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's listen. If you had told me, let's say a month ago today, that we would that a billion people around the world and 95% of Americans would be in lockdown. I mean, come on, So I
yeah,
would believe anything or anything you tell me right now. I'll believe it. Anything you tell me. But when it comes to the academy players, we had Paul Konchesky on. Tim and I had Paul Konchesky on Sunday afternoon. That was a good interview. If you guys get a chance to go back and watch it, it was good. Paul's a good guy. Of course, he was former West Ham fullback, and now he's in charge of the academy transfers for the club. No, loan players for the academy. Yes, that's what it is. So like when a guy goes out on loan, he sort of follows them and checks in with them and makes sure they have what they need and sort of scouts them, make sure that their progress is what it should be. So he's been out with like Josh Cullen, he's been out with Diangana, he's been out with who else did we loan there from the youth team? I can't remember. Anyway, so when we asked him, who's going to come through the academy and be in the first team, the only name he mentioned was Diangana. Like he didn't
interesting.
really say anybody else,
Hmm.
And Josh Cullen is 24. Did you know that?
Yeah, yeah.
I thought he was like 19. Loan manager. Yes, thank you.
He
This
definitely
is what
looks
he
like
is.
it. That's for sure.
He's the loan manager. That's what he is. Thank you. I couldn't. I'm telling you. Yeah, he's 24. That's like. I mean, if he hadn't made it, he's not going to make it. I mean, I hate to say it, but 24, like, that's not even a young player. That's just a player.
Wow. Yeah. No. Two things real quick. One, Neil is buying gas for pretty much pocket change down in Australia. That's pretty crazy.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah, 89 cents a liter, which is wild to me.
That's crazy.
But no, so my question for both of you guys in the chat, right? So speaking about academies, if West Ham were to, become someone like a team similar to, your Ajax or whatever, granted, I don't know if that success would be great, but let's just say, we have really top, like our first 11 is pretty much, 6 or 7 academy players at any given time. But then, at the end of the season, our top 2 or 3 players get sold off and we just keep bringing them up, but we don't really ever go out and be that aggressive in the transfer market.
Yeah.
Would that be something that you guys would want to see? Now, I know obviously Ajax always in the, Champions League and stuff like that, but they don't really play anybody except for
That's
like
because they play in a
PSV.
garbage league. Yeah.
Yeah.
A league with like 3 clubs. Yeah.
Yeah. So, if I guess maybe Dortmund might be a better example, even though the Bundesliga is not that great to me either. If we were to be one of those
example.
teams, yeah. So if we were to be one of those teams that just promoted a lot of the academy kids, the first team, see how they did in the season. I don't think you'd ever have any relegation battles if that was. Well, you probably would in the Premier League, but A, do you think that fits in the Premier League? And B, would you want that to be what West Ham turned into?
Yeah. What do you
It's
think?
for
Rob?
everybody.
Rob, what do you think? If you can hear me still.
Sorry, I froze up a little bit, guys. I missed part of that.
That's all right. No, Sully was just saying if we were one of those clubs that sort of, well, which I mean, I think we used to be this kind of club that sort of brought players in like the way Ajax does, like brought them up through the academy, sold them, at the peak of their value, and then kept bringing kids up through the academy. Is that the kind of club you'd like to see us be?
I don't think we're going to do it, especially with the current owners. I don't think we're going to be the ones that want to get these flashy names, become injury prone, and then sitting on the bench. That's the way West Ham does it, and I think that's what we're going to stick to. But yeah, I would like to see more academy players come up.
I would too, and I'm with John on this. I'd like to see Diangana back. I think he's developed really well at West Brom. I'd like to see Coventry get a chance. Cullen, I mean, again, he's older than I thought he was, but yeah, I mean, I think if you go back to West Ham in the 90s, the early 2000s, that's kind of the club that we were. I say we, I mean, they were at the time. If you look at the England side of the mid 2000s, about half of them had come through the West Ham Academy, or had been a West Ham player as a youth. Joe Cole, Michael Carrick, Glenn Johnson, Rio Ferdinand, Frank Lampard. I'm probably forgetting Jermaine Defoe. I mean, that's 6 right there who had come through West Ham, who we had sold, when they were kind of at the top of their value. Part of the reason is because there was a relegation in 2003 when a bunch of guys left who wouldn't have left if we hadn't gone down. That was part of the issue. But I think West Ham for a long time was a selling club that brought kids up to the academy and then sold them. I mean, in the spirit of West Ham, I would like that because I like the academy development. I like youth development. I don't think it keeps you in the Premier League these days. I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
I just don't. I just don't think you can stay up in the Premier League, just with kids. You got to have. I mean, it's almost getting to be a little bit like the NBA, where you got to have a star or a couple of stars. And right now, we don't have the money for that. Obviously, probably won't for a while. Certainly won't spend the money for that. Yeah, I'd like to see young guys get a shot. I mean, I'd like to see who was it mentioned? Cullen, Holland, Coventry, Diangana. Who's the Zandre Silva? I think is still down there. I'd like to see some of those guys get a shot. I would, but I don't think you can rely on them to keep you in the Premier League. I just don't. Season after season, I think you can do it.
So yeah. Having the youth is good, and coming up through the academy, it's great. But you're still going to need, some, playmakers and all that. Teach these young kids how to play in the Premiership.
Yeah,
that's the big thing.
That's the big thing. And I'm 100% for the academy. I mean, and I'm with Charlie on this. I mean, I think people love academy grads. We love, homegrown players. That's part of being West Ham. I love those guys getting a shot. I just don't think you can rely on them completely. I don't think you can put 6 or 8 of those guys out there in the Premier League and stay up.
Yeah.
You see what happens to them when they go on loan. Some of them, like Diangana's done really well at West Brom. Cullen's done really well at Charlton. Other guys, it's a little like it's mixed. And none of that's Premier League level. So
yeah, I'm ready to have Diangana back sooner than later.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too because I think a lot of the academy players right now, are at that point to where you either have to give them a chance to crack the first team or you just have to sell them, because you're not going to have somebody who's 25. I think we're lucky with Cullen, 24, still in the academy.
Yeah, we are. Well, either we're lucky
but-
or he's just not good enough. I can't decide which one it is.
No, and that's true too. I think, when you look at it, you have to try to look at it objectively and kind of take your heart out of it. As much as you want to see these guys make the first team, that's what 2 or 3 different coaches that haven't brought them up.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. But at the same time, even if they don't start, I think having maybe an academy heavy bench might be a good thing, because you can bring them up. Not saying your entire bench has to be academy
get them to
graduates,
train with the
but
first team.
they're
get them
training
to
with
train
the first team. They're getting Premier League minutes. They can possibly push for first team competition. But if not, at least you get more eyes on, so that if somebody wants to sell them in the transfer window, there's some money right there. And I agree too, Lee, with what you said earlier about it, that style of a system wouldn't work in the Premier League. Because when you look at the teams, Ajax, your Borussia Dortmund, stuff like that, their competition really is 2 teams in the league. I mean, Ajax is the league, essentially, them and PSV.
Ajax, Feyenoord have kind of fallen off. I think they won the title 2 or 3 years ago, but Feyenoord have fallen off a lot from where they were 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And then the rest of that league, I can tell you, I used to live down the street from the Excelsior Rotterdam ground, which held 3,500 people. Not 35,000 people, 3,500, right? So that would be a small stadium in Texas high school football. I mean, like a small town in Texas would have a stadium bigger than that.
Yeah.
That club, until I think this past season, was in the top division in Holland for like 4 or 5 years running before they finally got relegated.
Yeah.
It's a club of, it's a ground that holds about what Chelmsford High School's ground holds. Greater Lowell United, when Tim and I we had our semi-pro club in Lowell, we played in a stadium twice that big. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Didn't have many fans, but the point is that's Dutch football. Sparta Rotterdam, the other side of town, they're up in the top division now. Their little ground holds about 15K. They don't fill it. I mean, if you're Ajax, PSV, you're never worried about relegation, because you're playing like these little tiny clubs in Holland, and Germany is a little bit the same way. Once you get past the top few, it's tiny. I'm with Charlie. I think you can get players fighting for positions. I think that's positive. I think that's what it should be. I just don't think we're in the type of league where you can put 5, 6 young players on the pitch at the same time.
No.
I think you got to have some experience, and you got to have some, you got to have some skill. But obviously, I think the academy is on the upswing from where it was maybe 10 years ago. And I think Moyes, oddly enough, may be a good manager for that if he can stick around. I think Moyes does want to get some of the younger players in, sign some younger players. He says he does.
Yeah.
I think the issue is, will the owners, invest? And
and I think a lot of that too is, not just playing with academy players, but those teams also don't really bring any big names in. I mean, you have the biggest name outside of what's that guy's name at Borussia? The guy who all he does is score. He just got there. Holland, you have him, and you have Marcus Royce.
Marco
he's
Rios,
been there. He's been there forever, and even he left, and came back. But it always seems like you'll have a big name at Dortmund, and then they're gone. They're like in Barcelona the next year, and then kind of the same thing with Ajax. But no, I agree. I mean, it'd be cool to see if we could get that kind of level. If we're always like top 5, top 6. Sure, why not? But I don't know if that's something that you can kind of lean on, in this league.
I go back to, I'm all for bringing the academy players up when it makes sense. And I think the issue is not relying on too many of them at one time to, keep you in the league, keep you in the Premier League, or keep you up. You go back to guys, Freddie Sears was supposed to be a superstar. Now, he was little. That was part of his problem. He was physically small. But his first goal was this fantastic goal, and then I think he scored like one more. He just didn't pan out. And he was one of the big names that came through the academy, and I think he's still playing somewhere, but it's down in League 1 or League 2. So there have been other guys like that too. We've brought up, and it's just been like, not everybody can be Mark Noble or or Declan Rice. It's not. It's hard to find those guys, and I think it's hard for us now because we did kind of lose our reputation as the Academy of Football for a few years there. And it is going to be a really, sought after player is going to be more likely to sign with a club like Chelsea, even though they're overwhelmed with youth, because it's big. They've got the money. They're a Champions League club. They're a big, top 6 club. So it's harder for us to attract players like that with, in modern football than it was when we were really known as the Academy of Football. And it was so many England players came out of West Ham, but
I got one more question for Rob. So with the obviously the time that you've been following West Ham, they haven't had too much success, and I know you haven't really been able to watch a lot of the games. Has there ever been a moment where you're like, let me switch to a team that actually, holds silverware up?
That's a good question.
No, definitely not. West Ham till I die. Started following it, fell in love. Again, we were, mid-tier when I, first started following it, and, we have our ups and downs, but definitely not going to quit. At least now I'm not going to be on ship. I'll get to watch the games whenever they start up.
Oh, yeah, true.
That's much better. That's much better. I think, I don't know, Rob, what your experience has been with other Premier League fans. I mean, one of the things that drew me to West Ham to the beginning was just that we have the best fans. The best sense of humor, the most fun to hang around, just the best perspective on everything. And other clubs have particularly awful fans, like Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea, for instance. I don't know if that's been your experience as well.
So, we definitely have the best fans. Like, we're good at taking the piss out of each other because, how we're just a roller coaster. But, I've been all over the world, all of Southeast Asia, all of Europe, anywhere I ran into a Hammers fan. I'm telling you.
It's like family, it really is.
Greatest people.
So with all your travels, Rob, John Nolan in the chat wanted to know, where's the weirdest place you've watched a match?
Weirdest place, let me see. Probably I was in New Caledonia. I think that's probably the weirdest place. We pulled in for a couple days, and there's a match on TV, and I got to watch it. And if any of you don't know where New Caledonia is, it's off the coast, just a tiny little island.
Off the coast of what? I didn't hear you. And I really off the coast. I don't actually know where it is. I was going to pretend I knew where it was, but then I couldn't hear what you said. So.
Off the coast of Australia. So,
gotcha.
Sorry, I cut off at the worst times, hotel wise.
Yeah, okay. that was funny.
That's okay. That's okay.
Nice little clip.
Have you watched? John wants to know if you watched with any of the Royal Navy guys.
Unfortunately, I haven't worked much with the British Navy, but I've watched some with the Aussies, the Canadians.
They're part of the Queen's Navy too, right? Technically part of the Commonwealth. I mean, isn't that?
The Anzac.
Yeah. So they're royal-ish, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have the Queen's on money in Canada, so I mean.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The Royal Australian Navy, so.
Yeah. It just sort of sounds. You just don't think of royalty in Australia, but I mean. She is the queen of the Commonwealth, right? So they're part of the Commonwealth. Neil would know for sure, but yeah. Oh, he says it's a good spot too. Nouvelle Calédonie. That's what they talk about in France. They talk about it. Okay, I know what you're talking about now. I know that sounds funny, but they talk about it in French a lot. Right. So that's cool. That's very cool. So you're headed to hopefully Japan in like a month or 6 weeks. Is that right?
Yeah, about a month and a half. I should be moving out to Japan again. So I'll have to try to get on at like 9 o'clock in the morning. Sneak out of work and then get on.
You should.
It's a decent time to watch a match.
Charlie's giving me a hard time. I know it's true. I know. I'm sorry. I shouldn't do it. It's hard for me not to do it. I try not to do it, but it always happens. Anyway, yeah, that's not a bad time to watch a match. And so maybe you can. You said your wife. You said before we started, your wife's Japanese, so she speaks Japanese. Maybe you can catch up with the West Ham guys out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get out there, get in touch with them, see if I start a little, Yokosuka. See if I get a little closer to me, so I don't go too far.
So one thing I wanted to know, one last thing, did your football team ever play against the Royal Navy? Did you have an American versus UK match at any point?
All right, you cut out a little bit on that, or I cut out.
That's right. So did you ever play against the Royal Navy? Your team? Did you ever have an American versus England UK game?
No, we've done like I said, we've done the Japanese Navy. I played the South Korean Navy, the Australian Navy. The Australians kicked their ass, but
wait, you kicked theirs, right?
Like rugby.
Oh. Australians are freakishly good at sports. They are freakishly good at sports. It's true. For a country that is, has not a large population, they're really, really good at a wide variety of sports. Apparently, it's a pretty big deal down there. So, okay. So Neil says she's the queen of Australia, but not the queen of every Commonwealth country. See, this is all very confusing to me. I'm pretty glad we kicked him out, 250 years ago. Sometimes I'm not actually, but yeah, at least we know who's in charge. Well, listen, Sally, always good to talk to you. I've talked to you for like weeks now. It's been a long time since I've been on with you.
Yeah, no, I have a kind of a weird schedule right now. I mean, this week I'm pretty much all off work until next Monday night or the 13th. Because with the whole COVID stuff, me working in the dining facility is kind of weird now, with the policies that we have. So
are you like masks and gloves all the time?
I just got a text message this morning that gloves, yeah, obviously you're cooking, but with the masks part, yeah, we have to wear masks now while we're working and handing out the food. So that's going to be pretty interesting to get back to when I get to work. But yeah, no, we have stations, like whenever somebody's coming to get a line, we have markers on the floor like 6 feet. A lot of the stuff we have to like give to people. So if they want like a coffee, we have to go and pour it for them and then give it to them too. So it's kind of weird. It's an adjustment, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
Are you worried about getting it, Sully? I mean, I think you'd be fine. You're a healthy young guy, but I mean, is it?
No, I'm not worried about it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I have a pretty good immune system. I really only get sick like once a year when it turns to winter. I always go to sleep with the window open once and get a head cold. But I don't know. I'm just not. I mean, I'm a pretty hygienic person as it is. So, but yeah, I mean, if I did get it, it'd be another 14 days out of work, which would suck. But
would they pay you? They pay you, right?
Oh yeah. It's a salary job, so you don't get paid hourly. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at least it would suck though. It's rough. It's rough. I mean, we're being very protective. My mom lives with us. She's 75, so we're being very careful about her. Not trying not to expose her to it. So, how about you, Rob? How are you feeling at the moment? Do you feel safe amid the the global pandemic?
Like I said, I'm locked down on base in a hotel room, so like I can't even like leave the base area. It's new orders. So, yeah.
So there's not much. Yeah. So not much going on really.
In the hotel room, I'm not really worried about too much.
Are you? Is your training? You said you were in training. Is your training still going on, or is it suspended? Or
yeah, it's still going on. So like, it's we're already 3 months into it. So I'll be finished up in the next month, and then hopefully being able to leave San Diego and go back to Hawaii to pick my family up.
Yeah, Rob told us before we started, Sally. I was talking to him before you came on. He's got a wife and a 5-year-old son in Hawaii. So
Oh, wow, nice.
I know you're missing them, Rob. I would hate to be without my family right now. People make a lot of jokes about being quarantined with their families, but I got to be honest with you. I like being with my family, and I'm glad they're all here. And it's a better situation for me than being alone would be. So I feel for you, and I know you're busy, which is good, but I do feel for you.
Yeah, I'm not that busy, but yeah, no, I miss being with the family. But being in the Navy, like I said, I'll be underway for 6 months out to sea. Like my family's used to the distance and stuff,
Yeah.
which is crazy to some people. Like,
yeah, military life.
yeah.
Well, God bless you both. Honestly, I mean, I know it sounds cliche, but we really do appreciate what you're doing for our country and for the whole world. I never had the guts to be in the military, so I'm glad somebody else does. Because as I said, I've had many family members, but it wasn't something that I pursued. So I'm glad you're doing it, and I want to thank you, Rob, for coming on with us tonight. It was a lot of fun talking to you. I'm glad we got you sorted so we can have a chat. Got your Wi-Fi sorted. I know the hotel Wi-Fi, you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah. But hopefully it's better next time.
But come back anytime. We'd love to have you anytime. Sally, it's always great to see you. Always great to have you on. And to everybody in the chat room, big chat room tonight. Big crowd tonight. Big Wednesday night crowd tonight.
Oh, yeah.
But we had Tebow and Wally and Neil. And how do you say your name? Is it Kieran? It probably is Kieran.
Kieran,
right?
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Kieran, yeah. And Charlie Walsh, Charlie Boy was here. Charlie Boy from Brooklyn. All the Charlies were here. Everybody was here. So, yeah. So,
real quick. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you
off.
off, but real quick, because I just got a text from my mom. Mom, hi, I do miss you. I'm glad that you guys are good. What? So yeah, she texted me, "Do you miss being with your mom?" He's like, "Yeah, of course I do. I miss my mom, but I know everybody's good, so I think it's good that everybody's safe over there in Colorado. That I know for sure. So I think if somebody was sick, it'd be a little bit more stressful. But hi, Mom. Tell Dad hi if he's not watching. Love you both.
Well, you know what? I'm glad everybody's doing well. It's good to know. And listen, we have so many ways to communicate with people now. I know when you're out at sea, you can't do it, Rob, but we have Zoom and we have, StreamYard and we have whatever you want to at least be able to see each other. So it's nice that we have stuff like that. So, but anyway, yeah, thanks everybody for being here tonight. This is what I usually say. I have to go make lunch for the boys, but we all know they can get their own lunch tomorrow because they'll be home as they are.
Time for them to grow up.
As they are. Oh, yes. They've been helping around the house. Listen, even my 9-year-old who, is, let's say, reticent to help around the house, he helped with the laundry today. He helped with the dishwasher. And so they're, the home thing for them has not been bad. They're learning some, a modicum of discipline around the house because of my wife, obviously, not because of me. But they're learning to help out, which is good. And my mom's teaching them Spanish, which is good. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah. So hopefully they'll go back when they do go back to school. They'll go back a little bit smarter than they were when they got out. But anyway, thanks everybody for being here. Tomorrow at 3:00 Eastern, 8:00 in the UK, and 12:00 in California. Matthew Jarvis will be on with Tim and me. Again, I always liked him as a player. We'll hear what he has to say. And keep an eye out on our Twitter, our social media, and all that. We have at least 2 more former players we're going to have coming up in the next week to 2 weeks. But in the meantime, Rob, Sally, thanks very much. And to everybody watching, come on, you Irons.
On you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.